Okay, our next lesson is about absolute value. So this is a new term and there's some symbols to learn along with it, but trust me, it's okay. So it wants us to find the distance from 0 to each number. So this is going to help us figure out what absolute value is. So I'm going to draw a number line here. When you draw a number line, it does not need to be perfectly straight, and you do not need to fill it in with every single number you need. It just has to be approximate. Okay, so I'm going to look at my numbers. All right, so I'm going to say this is negative 16. That's as far as I need to go. And on the positive side, I only need to go to 8. So I'm going to put 8 here. Since 8 is about halfway, this would be positive 16 over here, just so it looks right. Okay, so now I can just try to, I like to do a middle. That helps me evenly space it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to pretend those are evenly spaced. Okay, I'll do the same thing over here. This will be negative 8. Another one in the middle. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. Do another middle. Negative 9, 10, 11, negative 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's even a little bit too involved for me. But it does help to space out your numbers. So now we're going to put these, we're going to mark them on the number line. So our first is at negative 10. So that's going to be right here. And it wants us to find the distance from 0 to each number. So here's my negative 10. Okay. How many spaces from 0 do you think negative 10 is? Well, if I asked you on this side, let's think about 8. How many spaces is this 8 away from 0? Would you tell me 8? So the distance from 8 to 0 is 8. Do you agree that the distance from negative 10 to 0 is just 10? Okay, think about what I said the other day about distance. Distance is always positive. Okay, if you have an odometer on your car, it tracks the miles even if you're going in reverse. Pretend if you could drive in reverse for a long time, it's still going to track up your miles. I have an Apple Watch, or if you have a Fitbit, even if I walked backwards all day, it would still count my steps. It's not like it's going to stop counting my steps because I'm walking backwards. So distance is always positive even when it's on this negative side. Okay, so what do you think? The distance from negative 15 to 0. It's going to be 15. And from negative 16 to 0 will be 16. I'm going to show you the counting in just a second. Oh, here we go. From 1 to 3 to 0, it's going to be 3. So notice not all of these numbers were positive, but all of their distances are positive. So let me show you. Let me do this one. So if I count from negative 10 back to 0, I count each space, I should get 10. So I count it like this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you see how I counted those? So I'm counting from one number to the next as one unit. It's not the lines on the number line, it's the space in between. Just how you would count like, oh, I worked today from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. You're counting the actual amount, not the lines. Okay, if I did it over here, it would work too. So I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, I got the correct distance. So no matter if it was negative or positive, the distance from 0 is a positive number. Okay, now we're getting into how it's written. Okay, so just like I showed you, it's the distance from 0. So let's look at these. It says the absolute value of negative 1, which means what is its distance from 0? Its distance from 0 is 1 unit. The absolute value of 6, it's 6. It's 6 units or spaces away from 0. The absolute value of negative 3, we can see on this number line right here. 1, 2, 3. 3 units. Okay, the absolute value of negative 10, it's 10 spaces away. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6 spaces away. Easy peasy. Now this is how it's written. Can you see that? I'm going to write it a little bit bigger. So we would say the absolute value of negative 1 is equal to 1. Let me use a different number. That's too many ones in there. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. That's how we write that. So these straight up and down lines say absolute value, and we say it like this. The absolute value of, we read the number that's inside, and then we say equals, and it's always going to be a positive. So I could say the absolute value of negative 10, I'm just darkening these in so you can see them, is 10. The absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 132 is, what do you think? 132. The absolute value of 4,000 is 4,000. It's just the number of spaces each number is away from 0. That's all absolute value is. All right, let's see. Oh, here's another good word. It says magnitude. So that's another way you can think about absolute value. It's the number's magnitude, which is another way of saying its distance away from 0. Okay, let's do a few more questions. All right, I like these test prep questions here. It says each day, the total number of people who visit a city's public library is recorded. The change from the same day last year is also recorded. The changes for 4 consecutive, that means in a row, days are shown below. Okay, which day had the greatest change? So a change could be positive or negative compared to the same day last year. So these are saying find the absolute value of all of these numbers. Okay, so let's think about it. Monday's increased by 127, so the change is only 127 from what it was last year. Tuesday's decreased, but the overall change is just a difference of 18. Wednesday's increased, a change of 19. Thursday's decreased a lot, but all it wants to know is which one had the greatest change. So it changed by 209. Even though it was a decrease, it had the greatest change. Oh, this is easy. What's the absolute value of negative 47? Pause it for a second if you need to. Think about it. It's just 47. Sometimes I make my 7s look like that so they don't look like 1s. Which bank balance represents the greatest amount owed? Okay, so if you owe something, it's never going to be positive. Okay, if you owe someone 20, 50, or 36, which one it has the greatest distance from 0? It's going to take you longest to pay back. It's going to be 50. It's furthest away from 0. You're going to have to pay back so much more than if you owed 36 or 20. Ooh, which statement is correct? So we have to evaluate this. I know the absolute value of 8 is 8, so I'm going to replace that. Is 8 equal to negative 8? Absolutely not. Oh, this one has 2. So the absolute value of 10 is 10. I'm going to put that symbol in. The absolute value of 9 is 9. So is 10 greater than 9? Yes. Let me just keep trying. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2, less than. The absolute value of 1 is 1. Is 2 less than 1? Last time I checked, no. All right, and this one, the absolute value of 0 would just be 0. 0 is 0 spaces away from 0. Is 0 greater than 0? No, they are equivalent.